So this Saturday's game is looking like it is a must-win for Wolverhampton Wanderers. They're going to be taking on Nottingham Forest at Molineux this weekend. As always, we've got the match preview for you today, looking at the team news ahead of the game, and of course, having an away perspective involved later on in the video as well. Guys, let me know your thoughts on the current situation at Wolves. Of course, it is crazy at the moment with what's going on with the head coach. We're still sort of no clearer in regards to who's going to be taking on the role. I'm recording this on Thursday, sort of late afternoon, and there's been a few names bandied about, but we're still no clearer since the rejection of Julian Lopetegui earlier this week. I did a video on that yesterday if you want to go and check that out. But of course, all focus now on Saturday's game. It's a must-win game, and we are still going to be having Steve Davis and James Collins, who are the under-23s, under-18s managers, taking charge. You would expect it would be the same for Tuesday as well, away at Crystal Palace, whilst Wolves still sort out a new head coach. Of course, team news-wise, stupidly, I included Ruben Neves in my team last week. Of course, many of you pointed out, many of you messaged me as well to say, of course, he is suspended. So I do apologise for that one. But Neves is back, which is obviously a huge bonus. Hopefully, we'll see the likes of Boubacar Traoré return as well. He was ill last week, so wasn't included in the squad for the Chelsea game. A surprise inclusion was Joe Hodge, who has been fairly impressive for the under-21s, and he even came on at half-time at Stamford Bridge last week. There's been whispers that maybe he could be in line for a start this weekend in such a big game against Nottingham Forest. But obviously Nathan Collins still suspended. He'll return, you would imagine, for that game away at Crystal Palace on Tuesday. But looking ahead, of course, Wolves, a must-win game. Both teams, obviously Wolves and Nottingham Forest, if I very quickly get the Premier League table up right now, Forest got a 1-1 draw on Monday against Aston Villa. So it'll be interesting to see sort of if those 2 days extra fitness and so on is going to work. Forest have got quite a big squad, as you know, the amount of players that they signed. But we're currently sat in 18th place right now. 9 games, 1 win, 3 draws and 5 defeats. Forest, 9 games, 1 win, 2 draws and 6 defeats. They have scored more goals than Wolves. They've scored 7 to our 3, but they've conceded a massive 22 goals to Wolves' 12. So they've got the worst goal difference in the league right now, Nottingham Forest, at -15. And bar that draw, they were on a pretty significant run of defeat as well. So they're still not in great form. You would hope that Wolves, being at home, can have that advantage, but it's going to be so crucial for us as home fans to get behind the team and start off well, because I'm worried that if Forest start brightly and obviously score an early goal or whatever, then the Wolves fans, as we know, can turn very, very, very quickly. Of course, as well, there's 2 former Wolves players that could be returning to play at Molineux. The main one of those is Morgan Gibbs-White, who left the club for a significant fee during the summer. Probably not as high as some of the media were making out, but still a very handsome fee, I think, for Wolves. And Nottingham Forest, I believe, is a club record transfer right now. So I'd assume he would start. Another player involved who could be involved, is Willy Bolly, who unfortunately didn't leave Wolves on the best of terms after refusing to turn up. I believe it's the game against Newcastle, possibly, was it? He didn't turn up to the game. Might have been a slightly different game. But it's going to be interesting to see how those two, the reception that those two get as well. I think Morgan's going to be an interesting one. I think there will be a number of fans that, you know, make their thoughts heard about that. Possibly a few boos. Who knows? We'll wait and see. But yeah, we know this is a must-win game for Wolves. Before we jump into my predicted lineup, of course, we have got, once again, the Betmate game for this weekend. You can join that with the link at the top of the description. If you're a new user, please use the code TW5 and you'll get a £5 bonus when you place your first paid, join your first paid pot as well. But yes, as you can see, it is the Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff for this one. You can join in a £400 guaranteed payout, £2 to enter. It's on the homepage of the Betmate app. If not, you can use the code that's on the screen. And my team right now, obviously subject to change. You can change it 5 minutes up until kickoff. I've gone with Sarr in goal, Smith and Semedo at the back, with Philip Billing and Mateus Nunes in the middle, and Dominic Solanke and Adama Traoré up front. So the 2 games at 3 p.m. on Saturday are Wolves, Forest and Fulham, Bournemouth. So do please gamble aware, 18 plus, and UK residents only. And looking at my Wolves team, I think for Wolves, do we stick with this sort of 4-2-3-1, or do we see Wolves return to a 4-3-3? I'm going to stick with a 4-3-3 for now. I think it's important that we sort of just try and hold on to as much possession as we can. So I've gone with Jose Sarr in goal. I'd probably return to Ryan Ait-Nouri on the left-hand side. Could so easily be Johnny. Keep Semedo on the right. And I think it's got to be Totti and Kilman once again as the two centre-halves. Midfield three, for me, has got to be João Moutinho. Ruben Neves returning, Matheus Nunes. Maybe we'll see Boubacar Traoré come in, but I think it will be those tried and tested midfield three for now. And front three, again, we don't know. It sounds like, listening to Steve Davis's post press conference after the Chelsea game, Gonzalo Guedes isn't fit to play 90 minutes, so I'd possibly start Podence, Adama, and Diego Costa as the front three, and maybe Guedes coming on off the bench through the middle. Hwang Hee-chan is obviously back as well. He could be an option and in contention to start, but I would go with that team. The bench will look a little bit better, I think, on Saturday, with Traoré returning, with Hwang obviously on there as well. And there's going to be options on the bench. But we'll move on to the Forest perspective now. I spoke to Nottingham Forest YouTuber Mr. Dorr, and these were his thoughts ahead of this weekend's game. So then, guys, I am alongside Mr. Dorr, Nottingham Forest fan. Mate, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad. Could be better.
Yeah.
could be better.
I think every Wolves fan is probably saying the same thing, mate, as well. I think you look at the league table, it could be so different for both teams, the quality of players and the amount of players that Forest have signed as well. And same with Wolves. I think we both expected maybe to be, in slightly different positions in the table. Let's start off with Forest, though, mate. 9 games, 1 win, 2 draws and 6 defeats. In your eyes, how has the season started? Do you think it would be going a little bit better so far for the team?
Well, if you look at it, because it's the first time back in the Premier League after 23 years, we always knew from the start it's going to be really hard, because after last season, a successful season in the Championship, it's not going to be the same. So, do I expect to be in the bottom 3? We expect to be in the bottom half, but we didn't expect to be in the bottom 3. So, it's not been great so far, as you know. That's been happening for the club. It's tough, but at the same time, it's good to be back in the Premier League. But as you know, we're second to bottom, and it's not been a great start for us this season.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Wolves are only 1 point ahead of you guys. It's not been a great start for us. Still managerless. We're not going to have a head coach for the game this weekend either. So I think both teams are probably looking at it and thinking it's a good opportunity to try and almost kickstart the season, because for both teams, I think our first win, our only wins of the season, were a lot earlier in the campaign as well. Let's talk about Steve Cooper a little bit, because he's a manager, to be fair to him, I praised him a lot. I thought it was a great appointment from you guys when you got him in at the time. He got you promoted. And then up until recently, there were just murmurs, I think, around that Leicester game that he could possibly get the sack. And then the club have awarded him with a brand new deal, which I think to the neutral football fan is a bit of a surprise. But what's your point of view on Steve Cooper, and what's your thoughts on the new deal as well?
Let's put it for context, right? As you know, Steve Cooper came into Nottingham Forest, bottom of the league, and us Forest fans were thinking about League One football. And as you know, we know what happened. Got us to the playoffs, won that, and we've got to give the guy respect, because, as you know, being in the Championship for 23 years, every manager, Tom, Dick and Harry, tried it, didn't work. And Steve Cooper's come in, and he didn't, like I said, he brought players in January, like we brought Steve Cook in, Davis, and Sturridge. The guy's a legend, and I fully get it why Forest fans are going to think, why we gave this guy a contract after the 4-0 defeat against Leicester? Because we've got to give this guy respect, because he sent us to the Premier League after all the disasters that happened. And if we got rid of him, then we would have started from square one. Because if we got relegated to Championship, whoever would have been the Forest manager, do you think we're guaranteed to get us back up? Steve Cooper has to be given respect of what he's done for the club. And yes, he's not been great this season, but we've got to stick with him, because a Forest fan, like I said, a non-Forest fan will say, they've had XYZ managers from the past history, and we've got to stick with it. So, deserved contract, 100%. But as you know, the Premier League is so tough, and if we, like I said, we could lose to Wolves, Brighton, and so on and so. We've got to give us Steve Cooper time. It will come good, but it needs to hurry up, because if we want to get out of this bottom three, the results got to start coming. And again, it's a massive game for us, but it's a massive season for Forest.
Yeah, I think you guys are probably in a similar situation. We've got the rest of this month, we've got winnable games in. No disrespect to sort of Forest. I think, that's a game that probably both teams will look at and try and win. We've got Palace, Leicester as well. So they're games that, for me as a Wolves fan, I look at and think they're winnable matches. And the same with Forest. You hit the ground running over the next 2 or 3 matches, and all of a sudden you're going to be. It's still tight at the moment. You could be like mid-table again.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
See Bournemouth lost, what was it, 8-9-0 to Liverpool, and they're top 6, top 8, I think, at the minute. So at this stage of the season, it can change so quickly. Now, Forest, as everyone knows, with the talk of the transfer window, signed, how many players was it? 21?
23.
Right, 23. Right,
yes.
okay, so 23 players came in, a huge summer window. It was needed, obviously, for Forest. You guys had a lot of players on loan and so on last season. A couple of those signings from Wolves, the big one, obviously, was Morgan Gibbs-White. And again, a lot of talk over this. A lot of the media sort of almost blown it out of proportion a little bit, because the overall fee was quite substantial, but the actual amount of money that Forest are paying up front is a little bit less. But the actual fee is sort of 25 million plus that Wolves are getting. What's your thoughts on him so far? Obviously, Steve Cooper has managed him before, sort of the England under 17s level. I think he had him at Swansea for a little bit as well. What's your thoughts on his start at Forest so far?
When he signed for Nottingham Forest, and as you just said, he's been with him with Swansea, England, and level as well. We thought to ourselves, you know what? Last season he was fantastic for Sheffield United, and there's always talk of him come to Forest, blah blah blah. And we thought, you know what? He's a good player. But at the same time, it's his first time. Oh, he's played a few games in the Premier League with Wolves, but coming to the Premier League, it's a different kind of animal. Yeah. His debut against Everton, it was a fantastic debut, coming off the bench last 25 minutes, and he basically turned it around. And from after that words, like I said, we don't know what his best position is, because he can play that number 10 role behind the strikers. He can play as a winger. He's still getting used to the. I'm missing no disrespect to Wolves, because like Wolves have got a fantastic team. With all the players that we've got, like I said, all the 22 players, you're thinking, who is this? Who am I playing with?
Yeah.
So he's getting used to how players play. And like I said, he knows a few players. Like I said, he knows Brendan Johnson, he knows like Steve Cooper and that, but he's still finding his level on how he plays with Forest, and he's got the right man to make him better on Steve Cooper, and it'll take time. But when you play in the Premier League, you haven't got time. Like I said, he's young, he's raw as well. He's raw and he's strong, and I think we give him time. He will be a fantastic player, but you just got to give the player, even if there's a transfer fee we pay for him. I think 25 million forward and the rest of add-ons. Give the guy time, and he will turn good. But I think we got a bargain, if I'm honest.
No, I mean, I think Wolves got a good fee, but obviously from your point of view, if you think, you're getting your money's worth, he's your record signing, I believe, at the minute. But I think that was his issue at Wolves, because he's sort of on paper like a central player. I think he's a little bit too lightweight to be a holding midfielder. Number 10 is possibly his best role. Wolves played him a lot out wide, but I just don't think he's got that almost acceleration and quickness to play. I think he's a quick player, but not rapid enough to play almost as a winger. I know for Sheffield United, he almost played as a second striker, just played in a free role. So it'll be intriguing to see how he gets on. And Willy Bolly was another player that had joined you guys. I don't think he's played a little bit, but not huge amounts yet, has he?
No.
But it'll be intriguing. I'm not sure, obviously, what his situation and the reception will be like if he plays on Saturday, because obviously he refused to turn up just before.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. But obviously, and any other players that you guys have signed? I know Emmanuel Dennis was an interesting one, but any other players that you guys have signed in the summer that have really stood out for you so far?
Like I said, there's 23 players that I can. Do you want me to mention all of them? I'm not going to mention all of them. Like I think the player that you mentioned, Jesse Lingard, and he's not been playing as much games. We've got Dean Henderson on loan from Manchester United. Great goalkeeper, but he's always getting beat with long ranges, long shots. So he's a good keeper. Like I said, time will tell. We've got Nico Williams as well from Liverpool. Another young player, talented, but he has to find his feet with all the players that we've got. You mentioned Emmanuel Dennis. I could carry on. Joe O'Brien. That can have like a 10-minute conversation about who we brought in. Well, I'm not going to carry on. But yeah, I think, like I said, the player that I think every Forest at this point is Jesse Lingard, because as we know, experience with Man United, did well with Wolves. In England, former international, and it just hasn't started good for him. But the player that I brought in, the only player that I'll say stood out is O'Brien, who got from Huddersfield. Every time he gets the ball, he goes forward, he's positive, and I think that's the player that's really got Forest fans talking about. So, like I said, I could say there's so many players that gets mentioned, but I know now I've got time to talk about all these players.
No, there's some good signings, intriguing signings as well, I think, and it's not just
good signings on paper. The good signings, like I said, we've got people like Nakate, fantastic signing, but can't get the team. Mangala, Belgium international, started fantastic against West Ham. Little camera role against Everton, and then we haven't seen him since. So these players are good. We just don't know what the best formation and who to start for Forest. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think some of them did come quite late in the window as well. I think you're right. And I'm just looking at them. It's all from different markets, all different positions, good quality players. So I think the worry for me as an outsider looking in, if the worst case happens for Forest, is what happens if you boys go down with the players and the money. And I think it is a huge risk by the club, but let's wait and see what happens there. From a Wolves point of view, is there anyone ahead of Saturday's game from the Wolves team that worries you going into the match?
I've got to mention him, and he is talented, Ruben Neves. When you lot brought him for 15 million, I thought to myself, wow, 15 million, class player, and he's just like, is he your captain now?
Yeah, he's captain now.
Yeah, he's captain now, and he's a fantastic player as well. What's his name? The Mexican striker,
Jimenez.
Yeah. Is he injured? Is he still playing?
He's injured. Yeah, so
he's always injured. So I'm happy about that, because he's a good player. But I know before that mad injury that he got, he was scoring goals for fun for you lot. So there's quite a good players, and there was who's the Portuguese player? He ripped Forest apart in the pre-season for
Nunes.
No, what's his name? He got from Valencia.
Oh, Guedes.
Guedes, that's it.
Yeah.
When I see Wolves sign him, I thought, oh my days, we've got you lot soon, because he ripped apart Forest in the pre-season as well. And I noticed 2 days ago, I've seen watching, but I just thought, nah, this guy is class, and he's the threat player. So yeah, Wolves are bottom three, but still got a good side. You got, like I said, I know you haven't got a manager, but on paper, you've got a good side. Are they better than Forest? I don't know. So Saturday will tell who's better, but you've got a quality side. You've got experienced players as well. I was surprised you got rid of Cody. This is because I think he's a leader, and I don't know what's Wolves' situation with being leaders. I know Neves, like I said, he's a great player, but me personally, I think that was a poor decision from Wolves, from experience-wise. Like I know, like I said, the successful thing that Wolves done in the Premier League is 2 seasons now. You've been in the Premier League.
Yeah,
you've had a successful season. And players like Cody, we got Burley as well. I'm surprised, but do I think Wolves will go down? On paper, like I said, you've got a good side, but like as Forest fans will know, this Premier League, they won't feel sorry for you. and it's going to be tough for Wolves. But I personally think that they won't go down. I just don't think they will go down.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I mean, the Connor Cody situation is a discussion that we have almost weekly on our podcast, and Wolves fans talk about it all the time because, he's not a glamorous player. I don't think he's the best football player at the club, but you are right. That leadership thing, it would be interesting to see if it would make a big difference to where Wolves are.
It's like Connor Cody. He's not a big name player, but he's just there that can lead him. And it's like with Forest, we've got Ryan Yates. He's been at the club for years now. He's not as gifted as everyone seems it is, but he knows his job. He knows his roles and his boundaries, what to do with Forest. And he started against Aston Villa. People thinking, why is he playing? He knows his rules. He knows his limits to what to do and what not to do. So this is why at this point when I see Cody go to Everton, I'm like, what? What's going on here? But here's what it is. Like I said, Wolves still got a good side, regardless of what everyone says.
Well, fingers crossed. And I know, obviously, I'm hoping Wolves get the win on Saturday, but I think Forest as well. Things can change very, very quickly, as you know, and I think there's winnable games for both teams coming up as well. But I'm going to ask you to be brave now and see if you can give me a score prediction for Saturday's game. It's very, very hard.
It's brave because I said both teams are not playing great.
Yeah,
I know Forest are worse.
Just
would I take a point? I won't. No, because as I don't know if you know, we've got a good record against Wolves. And last time we played against you lot, we beat you 2-0. And I know.
I think so. That was the year we went up, wasn't it? You know what? I remember that game now because the players they lost that game and then went abroad the same evening because they were having like a mid-season break.
Okay.
I don't know if they're already on their holidays or what. I do remember that. That was we didn't lose many games that season. I remember it now. Yeah,
exactly. I remember. I went to the game as well. It was Ben Osborne and Keith Gow scored, and like I said, we've got a good record against you lot because I think after that we beat you lot again. I think it was 3-2. I think it was. I think your ex-Wolves player Guardiola.
Yeah.
Scored a fantastic goal past you lot. So we've got a good record against Wolves. So like I said, will I take a point? Not really, because we've got to take 3 points because we've got to take points against teams like you lot. So my prediction 2-1 Forest. I'll take it. It'll be 1-1 or 2-1, but 2-1 Forest.
So having a quick look, in the league, the last time we played, you beat us. But to be fair, we were unbeaten in 6 before that.
Because you lot always beat us at our ground. You always beat you.
To be fair, I've done the Forest ground 3 or 4 times, and we always tend to beat you there. Obviously, we played you in the cup.
You always beat us. Just when we go to you lot, we beat you lot. So
well, let's wait and see. I really do appreciate you jumping on the channel, man. I'll be doing some content on Mr. Dawes' channel as well before the weekend, so be sure to check that out. And I'll be sure to leave a link in the description for his channel down below as well. But thank you for jumping on Talking Wolves, mate, and may the best team win on Saturday.
Best time wins, and hopefully we can win and climb to the table and finish above you lot.
Thank you, mate.
Peace and love.
Big thanks. Once again, I'll leave a link to the YouTube channel in the description down below. Before we finish off, guys, as well, we're doing the Molineux Sleep Out next month. If you guys wish to donate towards our page, I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. Any donation, £1, £5, or whatever, really means a lot. It will go a long, long way to reaching our target as well. So I do appreciate that. And let me know your thoughts and score predictions in the comments section down below, guys. Fingers crossed it's a win. It's got to be a win for Wolves. Otherwise, I think it is going to be very, very toxic this weekend. As always, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll see you all very, very soon.